Good day, everyone, and welcome to Virtual Concert Hall's live music channel. Our programs are dedicated to live broadcasting classical music events. We broadcast concerts, festivals, competitions, panel discussions, music films, and podcast seasons. And we are bringing all this wealth of live musical stories from international stages to the audiences around the globe. I hope you're having a good day and welcome again. I'm Anna Ospinskaya and I'll be hosting today's program for you. Welcome to the very first episode of Beyond Recordings. This will be a series dedicated to exploring the artistic and technical journey behind classical music production. In every episode, we will go beyond the final recording, discovering the creative choices, the challenges, and the ideas that shape a final music project, from the recording sessions to editing, mixing, mastering. Today, we explore the Lehner Quartet albums. This is a very fascinating project dedicated to contemporary string quartet music by living composers and to the very precise search for sound, space, and musical. And now I would like to introduce my guest and welcome to the studio, Gianriccardo Pera. He is a music producer and a sound engineer at CiMA Streams. That's the Cicerone Music and Arts, our wonderful recording label company. He takes care of mastering your tracks, preparing them for publication and release, and making sure they are distributed on professional platforms and heard and seen and appreciated by audiences in many different parts of the world. Welcome, Gianriccardo. It's a great pleasure and honor to have you with me in the studio, and I have tons of questions for you.
Thank you, Anna. Hi, Anna. Hi, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. It's a very big pleasure and a big honor for me to be here with you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your expertise, and you're a very well-known expert in the field, and I can't wait to get the answers to the most sticky, tricky, and difficult questions.
We'll try to answer all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, from the horse's mouth, that's the most important. We all search internet and chat GPT and Google and whatnot to find out how do I. So now I'm going to find out how do we get this done successfully. But before talking about the recording itself, would you please introduce the Lehner Quartet and explain what makes this ensemble unique in today's musical landscape?
Yes. Well, Lehner Quartet, they have a very particular approach to modern contemporary music, classical music, of course, because on one hand, they still hold the traditional identity of a string quartet. That's obvious. But on the other hand, they have a sort of persistent, very strong curiosity, so to say, towards the development of musical language, contemporary musical language in particular. Now, we all know that the string quartet itself is one of the most intimate and demanding forms of musical repertoire. And this is because, sure. Yes, because, you know, a string quartet only have four instruments. So, two violins, a viola, and a cello, normally, which is very particular because with only four instruments, they cannot, let me use this expression, they cannot hide behind any kind of orchestral texture. Yeah,
that is so true. Everyone is a soloist and very visible and exposed. Yeah,
that's really the main point, Anna. Everyone is a soloist, but they are part of an ensemble. And everything they do, every little change of the bow pressure, every little change of intonation, every little change of intensity of the sound, it's exposed. And because it's exposed, then it has to be exposed in the best way. So this is really the main feature of this. And Lehner Quartet in particular, they know this very well. they develop a very refined skill in performing their sound. They never forget that they are individual players playing together, but they are also an ensemble. And this is actually the basement of their music, and this provides a sort of transparency of their sound, and it makes very fascinating for us and for me to try our best to make this transparency as visible, as audible as possible to the audience.
That's excellent. So, do you find, a very quick question, do you find it more challenging to work with the more refined ensembles on mastering, or with the ensembles which may just be in the developing stages of forming themselves as an ensemble?
I had the occasion to experience both of the situations. They are very different. In a quartet like this, like Lehner Quartet, it's like you have a team with 4 champions, And when, as a football coach would say, when you have champions, it's easier to perform well, to have a good result. But on the other hand, you must stay very attentive to what they are trying to express, to what they want to express. And normally it's already there. So my job in that case is to give the perfect value to what they already did and what is already in the recording,
Mm-hmm.
With a less experienced quartet or ensemble, there is more space for in our phase, editing and mastering, there is more space for inventing, to try to bring out something that sometimes they really didn't mean to express. But when we have the impression that they were trying and they were pushing on one side rather than another, then we try to give more value to that. So it's a different position.
I understand. So the
Yeah.
repertoire, which was recorded by the Lehner Quartet, and which you led the editing and mastering team to produce the albums, and those albums are on Spotify. So
Yeah.
this repertoire belongs to the world of modern composition.
Yeah.
Modern, by modern I mean today's composition.
Today's composition, yeah.
This is the repertoire created by the living composers. So
Yes.
there's a composer also involved who has his own vision of how the piece needs to sound.
Yes.
So what are the main characteristics of this musical language?
As you said, this composition, they belong to a world where melody, harmony, musical structure is very much expanded. And is expanding in different directions. So it's not just expanding, just evolving, just perfectioning or improving somehow. It's just exploring. They keep on exploring. And one of the things that we always noticed on our side of this job is that the composers, the modern composers, contemporary composers, they use the sound as, we could say, a painter would use the colors in a canvas. So every color is not just that color. The same color can have differences. And because there is the intensity, there is the density of the sound. Then there is, of course, the how high or low it is played. And then there is, every color is close to something else, to some other color. And according to which is the color which is close to that sound or color, it makes a difference. So this opens up to a complete new scenario of possibilities. Sometimes we had the occasion to talk with the composers and to hear what their vision was. Sometimes we didn't, but anyway, we think that listening to the recording, the first phase of what we do when we start to edit a record, this kind of LP, is to just listen to the raw recording and try to understand what did they mean. So the Lehner Quartet, they know this very well. and they never forget that they are individual players, but they are also part of a much wider possible acoustic image. It's like we have two layers, and these layers are not one above the other. The first layer is is understanding, listening to the music themes. And the second layer is listening to developing of the architectural pattern of the music itself. So these two layers, they don't go one before the other. They go together, and there is intersection by these two layers. And when the listeners understand this, and we help the listener to understand this, then big part of our job is already done.
That's
When we're
incredibly
able.
incredibly complex, and
Yeah,
the listener is perceiving this almost on the intuitive level.
exactly.
I mean, when people listen to the music, especially music they never heard before, and contemporary music, I think it's more common for people to just see, do I like it or do I not? So,
Yes.
how do you, as a audio engineer and producer, gauge what context and what colors will really communicate the best of the piece?
I follow a very simple rule. The simple rule that I follow is, let's suppose that these four players are actually people that they are having a conversation. And the listener is the fifth person who is participating to that conversation, because this is very essential to have the listener involved,
Oh
part of
yes,
the part of
absolutely.
the part of the music. You know, we have a listener. Now, what should never happen is that the let's say me and you are having a conversation, and all of a sudden you say something, and I say, "Sorry, I didn't get it. What did you say?" This doesn't have to happen in the musical conversation, because in our conversation it can happen. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
we
that wrong.
clarify, no big deal. Yeah, that's
Yes,
part
you
of the
can repeat the
conversation. Yeah.
question, I can repeat something, nothing wrong with that. But in the music, it will not, it doesn't come back. So
Yeah, it only goes one direction forward.
yes. So
Yeah.
if something is said by an instrument, and the listener has the impression like, what did he say? That's not good. So this is the rule. What did they say? And then what do we do to have the listener understand what they said? So we are not manipulating the content. You are not actually manipulating the intentions, the intensities, the dynamics. We are not doing that. We are just taking care of having all these participants actually always have very good perception of what the others were saying.
So
That's all.
clarity is primarily
Yeah,
at the top of
clarity
your
is a
priorities.
primary, absolutely, absolutely. And we can even say that modern composition, they contain different layers of information, let's say. And so the listener is sort of invited to discover these layers of information. That's why some say that modern compositions are more difficult, more demanding for the listener, but it's also more rewarding, because of course once that you finally understand the meaning of the composition and how did they play, then you're very happy of achieving something. You feel like you actually achieved something more.
Yeah,
And
this is so
this,
true. When we listen to the pieces which are, warhorse pieces
yes,
of performances, which we've heard many times and know very well, we're going a familiar path and just rewarded for reviewing again what we know we already love. But we're not really learning something new unless we make
exactly.
a purpose of listening to, let's say, Beethoven Fifth Symphony again and try to discover we haven't seen before. But with new compositions, especially new repertoire, which is composed these days,
Yes,
it's a more active listening which is required, and that's uh,
yes,
definitely rewarding on a second level, which is the reward which a person gets through achieving the learning.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now we have, if I'm not wrong, we have one piece to listen to, and this piece is from Joel Fagin, Mosaic into Palance. We have an excerpt of that movement, Mosaic into Palance Part One, which is part of the Lehner Quartet Volume Two. And what I suggest to our listeners who are listening right now is possibly to use a headset. But if they cannot, okay, nothing wrong with that. Better if they can use a headset or a nice stereo system. Anyway, if they don't have, no problem. But pay attention to that, and you will have exactly the sensation that these four are having a conversation, and then you can participate to that.
That is so much like the conversation. Incredible. I have the headphone set, so that helps. That
Yes.
helps also bring the mastery of your Gianriccardo and your
Agree.
team's editing and mastering, because the sound really travels around. That's
Yes.
such a wonderful effect, and just takes me through all the maze of the conversation, or the different paths that music is taking. This is a masterful music. I really admire Joe Fagin's compositions. I've heard quite a number of them, and he's a very profound, thoughtful composer. His music is complex, but it doesn't seem as complex when you listen to it. It's harder to play than it is to listen to. But it's really very inviting, because it's intriguing and has a lot of intense story in it. And this recording with all these sounds traveling around it's really bringing that out. Very great. And you're so right about the participation. When we participate in the process, when we participate in the process of listening music, creating music, or in the process of like this program show, when we participate in it, the active participation is more rewarding and more enriching. And with that, I would like to invite our audience to be part of this show. In every one of the episodes, we're going to invite the audience members to please post your comments
Yes.
and questions, and
Yes.
we'll bring them on screen. And please bring on screen the comment which we have right now, and I'm going to read it for everyone. If you're on a phone, maybe it's too small to read. I have a big screen, so I can read it. So this is from Steve L. from the LinkedIn. live. The next step in my composition is to actually take the raw recordings and place it into a recording format and arrange the conversation. And I'm going to ask Gianriccardo to please let's make a quick diversion from the flow of our program and please respond to this comment.
Yes. Well, hi, Steve. I can understand what you say, and I understand your point. Actually, I couldn't agree more with what you say. Let's say if you already have, Steve, if you already have some raw recordings, what I could suggest is don't touch them, leave them as it is until you go to an editing and mastering phase. And if you don't have anyone, write to us. But just take notes, because for someone that does the job that I do, so I have let's suppose I have your raw recordings and I have to edit and master them. It would be very, very precious to have notes like, here I meant to, there my intention was, here I wanted to represent this and that. Fill it up with notes, and then you will see how this will help your sound engineer, whoever he is, including it's yourself, to actually have a nice job done.
That's a very, very good practical comment and suggestion to everyone who is going to the recording studio and getting the raw tracks from multiple microphones or from two microphones, whatever equipment and system you use. Absolutely, I've been part of that, walking through this path and the stages of production together with Gianriccardo and Irma and the Cicerone Music and Arts. And it's an essential step to really listen to the raw tracks and to clarify for your sound engineer your intentions. And I learned one more very important trick. Yes, you mark your score, but you also need to very carefully and very precisely mark the timestamps.
Oh, yes.
Because the score, yeah, it's a good background information for your sound engineer, but they really go by hearing the sound.
Yes.
So your instruction needs to also apply to a particular spot on the recording. And you say, oh, I really meant for that trumpet to be muted in the air. And it seems like it's really on the forefront. If it's, let's say, on an orchestral recording you're talking about. But then your sound engineer, yeah, he knows, of course, where it is on the score, but then he needs to really hear that precise moment from which you want the sound to be adjusted exactly to your intention.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes. Gianriccardo, unfortunately, I am getting banged on my door because we're running so badly out of time for this episode, and we haven't even covered half of what I intended to ask you. I have 4 more questions on my list. So we absolutely will have to have you back, and we'll have to continue with this topic in the next episodes. And we promise that we just started. This is going to be a whole series of podcasts and programs with Gianriccardo. He graciously promised to dedicate his time and to share.
It's my pleasure, and it's an honor to share a little part of what we do with you.
Thank you, Gianriccardo, and thank you, CiMA.
Thanks for
wonderful
you.
company, and we'll have to see you in the next episode. Stay tuned and look for the announcements. And now I want to thank everyone who was part of this episode, and thank you very much, Steve L., for posting your question. We encourage everyone to subscribe to our channels. We are grateful to all of our wonderful collaborators who had been part of our journey for the past almost 7 years. We've been broadcasting on the internet, TV, the programs for classical music, a variety of different styles. And most importantly, behind those logos and pictures you see on the screen are real people. And not the companies are the movers and shakers. The people are. And we are very grateful to all those people. Thank you so much for all the platforms, for your existence, and many platforms where we stream. We have quite a substantial following. Please join us, subscribe, choose whichever platform is your favorite one. We're also on privately owned platforms and websites where you can see our programs, and they share our content with their listeners. And we are also on the cable. If you own Roku or you prefer Amazon or whatever smart TV, find us on True TV Plus. We have seasons there, just about everywhere. And I hope you find our content interesting, enjoyable, and you will follow us. And we'll see you again in our next programs. Many thanks to our wonderful team of producers, audio video engineers, graphic designers, script writers, hosts, and everyone who is part of our team are professional musicians. So we understand, we speak your language, and we are here to help you make your projects a reality. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.